Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. In this video I'll share with you my 6 favorite infrared saunas for any budget. In addition to my top 6 that I've either tested, that I still own, or that I have hands-on experience with, I'll also share with you the best infrared sauna you can find on Amazon, if there is such a thing, and a luxury upgrade if money is not an issue. Now before we get started, make sure you subscribe and you check out my affiliate and medical disclaimer down in the description. One thing that's important to consider in terms of my ranking and why I picked certain saunas, there are a couple of key factors that I'd like to share with you that I think will help you make a better purchasing decision if you're in the market for an infrared sauna. Number one is space and electrical requirements. Space, obviously, if you don't have a lot of space, then a walk-in sauna cabin might not work for you. The good news is there are several personal saunas that provide great benefits at a much smaller footprint. Now, if you want to go for a walk-in sauna cabin, like the one we have in our backyard, it's important to consider the electrical requirements because you cannot, for the most part, not just plug them into a regular wall outlet. You might need a dedicated 240 volt circuit. Most outlets in a domestic or in residential housing are 120 volts or either 10 or 15 amps. Certain saunas need either a 120 20 amp circuit or even a 240 volts 20 amp circuit or even more, depending on how much power the sauna has, how many heaters it has. So that's something to keep in mind because it might increase the bill at the end of the day if you have to get an electrician to put in a dedicated circuit to power your sauna. We had to do that for several of our saunas. So that's something you definitely want to take into account and make sure you can get the proper outlet into the location where you want to use your sauna. Number 2, and maybe even more important, are the types of heaters and their emissivity that are built into the sauna. So infrared radiation works by penetrating your skin by delivering energy at the end of the day in the form of photons that get into your tissue and that do certain things in your tissue to deliver those benefits, to provide those benefits. And so you want to look for heaters that have a fairly high emissivity of ideally 95 to 99%. The problem is that most infrared saunas on the market offer relatively low emissivity. And more equally important maybe, or at least something worth considering, is also the difference between the wavelength, the different wavelengths that you can get within the infrared spectrum. Most infrared saunas on the market, especially on the lower price points, offer far infrared radiation only. And that's not terrible, but if you want to get some of the benefits that you can only get from near and mid infrared, like improved skin health, improved collagen production in the skin, etc., then you want to look for full spectrum infrared saunas with high emissivity heaters. So that's one very key aspect to consider when making or before making a purchasing decision. Wood type, usually you can pick whatever you like. However, if you want to use your sauna outdoors, then you need to pick the right type of wood that's rot resistant and that doesn't fall apart after 2 years being exposed to the elements. And so red cedar or eucalyptus are usually the types of wood that are outdoor compatible. Anything else like birch, fir, hemlock, etc., you don't want to use outside. Those are indoor saunas, and we made the mistake with our first infrared sauna. We purchased one that was made out of basswood and used it outdoors because we didn't know any better. That's not a good thing. So you want to take the type of wood into account before placing the order, depending on if you want to use the sauna indoors or outdoors. Indoors, you can pick whatever wood type you like best. EMFs and VOCs, so electromagnetic fields and volatile organic compounds, are things that you want to avoid. And so I typically look for sauna manufacturers that offer test reports that show that their saunas emit low levels of EMFs and have no measurable or at least only trace amounts of VOCs from glues, from stains, from fabrics, etc. I don't want to be in the sauna and be exposed to a lot of chemicals and toxins, which mitigates many of the benefits I get from sauna bathing. And so make sure you ask for VOCs and EMF reports and pick brands that have low emissivity levels, such as the ones I mentioned here in this review. And then there are a ton of optional features that you can ask for, like chromotherapy and acoustic vibration therapy and Bluetooth speakers and Wi-Fi capabilities, etc., etc. All of those are nice to have, I think. If I were to, I would recommend you put your money towards high quality heaters and non-toxic materials rather than some of those optional features that are ultimately nice to have, but that might not make a huge difference in terms of the health benefits you can expect. And I have a dedicated article and video on how to select an infrared sauna that I highly recommend you check out. Now, with that out of the way, let's get to my top 6 picks before we talk a little bit about infrared saunas on Amazon and other wholesalers like Costco, and what you can do if you have unlimited funds and you just want to get the fanciest sauna there is. So my best pick overall, the best sauna that I've ever had, and that's actually the one we currently use in our backyard, is the Sunlighten mPulse Smart Sauna. It's a full spectrum infrared sauna that also offers red light therapy. It's the best sauna that we've ever had, the best infrared sauna we've ever had as far as walk-in cabins is concerned. Full spectrum infrared, so it has all the wavelengths that you would ask that you want to have, including red light therapy. It has high emissivity heaters, so the heaters of all of the Sunlighten saunas, by the way, emit somewhere between 95 to 99% of infrared rays. So you get a lot of those photons in the form of energy into your tissue, and that's where the magic happens. They also have, the Sunlighten mPulse is also fairly low in EMFs, and there are test reports on the Sunlighten homepage you can download and look up. It doesn't off-gas, so there are only trace amounts of certain VOCs, if anything at all. It's available in different sizes and wood finishes, so you can really pick the one that you like. We have the 3-person Sunlighten mPulse Conquer. We used to have the previous generation Sunlighten mPulse Believe, which was a 2-person sauna, and that was big enough really for 2 adults. But the 3-person is even roomier. You can stretch out. You can, I can, just put my legs on the bench and make myself comfortable if I'm alone. But if I'm in there with my wife, we have plenty of space. We could even have the kids in there, and we really like the slightly larger size, even though the 2-person sauna is perfectly fine. Some of the downsides of the mPulse, it's fairly expensive. I mean, it's a high-end sauna at the end of the day. Comes with all of the bells and whistles, including chromotherapy and acoustic vibration therapy. It has a touch screen and is Wi-Fi enabled, so there's a remote app you can use to schedule your sauna sessions and everything. So it has all the bells and whistles, and so it's relatively expensive in comparison to some of the other options that I'll mention in this video. The other downside is it requires a dedicated 240 volts 20 amp outlet. So we had to get an electrician out to install an outdoor breaker, actually, because we're using it outdoors, and that added a couple of $100 to the bill. So that's something to keep in mind when you purchase the sauna. The good news is, if you fill out the price request form, because Sunlighten doesn't publish pricing on their webpage, you have to fill out a quote basically, and then someone talks you through the available options and add-ons, etc. So you're sure to make the right choice and not just buy something that might not work, like we did with our first sauna. And then you get a price. But if you mention my name, you can actually get up to $600 off if you'd end up purchasing a sauna, depending on the size and the price you end up. Assembly is super easy as well. All you need is a rubber mallet, if at all. It's all plug and play basically. They have like magnets that plug together, and super simple to set up. Took my wife and I actually, the latest one I set up with a buddy, took maybe 1.5 to 2 hours, and that was it. Love the sauna. Both my wife and I do. We use it all the time, and it's arguably the best full-size infrared sauna cabin we've ever owned. Number 2, the hottest sauna, because with infrared, it's different to a wet sauna. So the ambient air temperature is not quite as hot. Typically our Sunlighten sauna, our mPulse, goes to 150 degrees Fahrenheit, which is hot enough because unlike wet saunas, the infrared rays transfer most of the heat into your tissue, so you heat up from the inside, kind of like a microwave. Not the same way, but kind of similar, if you get my drift. And so you don't need those hot ambient temperature. But if you're a fan of hot ambient air, then the Sunlighten Amplify, which is less expensive than the mPulse, might be the best bet. It heats up incredibly quickly, and it actually gets significantly hotter. And by significant, I mean it tops out at like 165 degrees Fahrenheit. So it gets 15 degrees Fahrenheit warmer or hotter than the mPulse, and it heats up quicker. It's also less expensive, but it's only available in 2 sizes and wood finishes. So there are, fewer options. It doesn't have Wi-Fi connectivity or a touchscreen. But at the end of the day, if you think about it, if you really want to have like a serene sauna experience, you probably don't need Wi-Fi and touchscreen, etc. You just want to relax and get the most benefits out of your sauna session. And if that's you, the Amplify is my favorite hot infrared sauna. If heating up quickly and incredibly hot temperatures are your thing, then the Amplify is for you. Now the third one, the best 1-person sauna that I currently own and I've ever tested, is the Therasage 360 Plus. It offers excellent value, and I'm going to have all the pricing that I have available and discount codes down in the description and in a blog post, so you can check that out. But the Therasage 360 Plus is a one-person sauna. You can sit on it comfortably. It comes with a bamboo chair, and it offers full spectrum infrared radiation. It offers red light therapy. It offers gemstones, a grounding or earthing mat. It has EMF mitigation capabilities and many other things. I mean, it literally comes with all the bells and whistles. The heaters emit 98% infrared rays, so very high emissivity. And I did actually a test the other day. I used one of our kitchen thermometers to see how hot the ambient air inside of that cabin would get, and it topped out at 167 degrees Fahrenheit. It gets incredibly hot. And I just yesterday jumped into the sauna and I stayed there for 30 minutes and I was sweating like I was being roasted. It gets incredibly hot because the air has nowhere to go. It's a fairly small cabin. I mean, it's roomy enough, it's comfortable, but it's not as large as a walk-in cabin, so there's much less air to heat up. And that is a clear advantage of that one-person sauna. You can fold it up, you can move it away. It's fairly lightweight. I think it weighs like 25, 30 pounds or so. So you can easily move it from one side to the other or remove it and stow it if you don't want to have it there permanently. We just have it in our family room all the time and we can jump in whenever we want to. We really like that sauna. No VOCs, very low EMF, and it's less than $1,200 retail price. However, I have a discount code in the description that knocks 15% off that price. So it's great value for a personal sauna, and we absolutely love it. Now, number 4, the best EMF-free option, or it's actually a sauna that actively blocks EMFs from the outside. So even if you're in an environment where there is EMF exposure from Wi-Fi, etc., that sauna has a combination of organic cotton and silver fabric that blocks 99% of all EMFs. And of course, I'm talking about the Saunaspace Faraday. It's like a Faraday cage, hence its name. And what's so unique about this sauna is it doesn't use LEDs, standard infrared heating panels that you would find in any other sauna. No, instead it uses hand-blown tungsten light bulbs that emit the broadest wavelength coverage that I've seen in any sauna. So anywhere from, I think down from 500 to 3000 nanometer wavelength it emits. So you get almost a full spectrum of natural sunlight without the blue lights and the UV light, but everything starting from the red basically up to infrared, you get from those light bulbs. And so you get the full benefits of sunlight at the end of the day without any of the potential damaging rays like UVs. And it's also very lightweight. It's a one-person sauna, so it's unfortunately not something that you can enjoy with your partner, with your spouse, or with your family. But it's an incredible, well-made, high-quality sauna that you can just sit in and get roasted. Those bulbs get incredibly hot. I tried it out at a biohacking conference. Actually, I tried it out a couple of times, but the last time last year at a biohacking conference, and it gets incredibly hot. The ambient air doesn't get super hot. It only heats up to like 120, 130 degrees Fahrenheit. But sitting in front of those bulbs, you get roasted. And so there are a lot of benefits to getting that full spectrum, the truly full spectrum of light. The downside, of course, is that you only get exposed to those rays from the front, unless you invest in a separate panel and put it behind you. But that would increase the price, obviously. But just with that one panel, you could use a step stool or a little stool. You sit on it, on every couple of minutes, you just turn, a quarter. And so you get full coverage by just turning. That might sound inconvenient, but it's actually not. And it's a very convenient and very relaxing to sit on that stool. And just every 5 minutes or so, you turn a quarter and expose your other side, the other side of your body until you have, done a 360 and you're ready to go. The other downside of that sauna is, unfortunately, the price. So, it costs over $6,000. It's not inexpensive, but the thing is, the silver fabric is what costs a lot of money and what increases the price. So if you don't care about the EMF blocking capabilities, you can actually get the same sauna without the silver fabric, just with regular organic cotton fabric, for under $4,000. So it's still not pocket change, but it's a high quality sauna with high quality bulbs and the broadest wavelength support I've ever seen. Now, if you say, okay, this is all good and fine, but I really would like to have a sauna cabin, maybe for 2 people that doesn't break the bank. And so the least expensive but still very high quality option that I would recommend is the Sunlighten Signature. It's the entry model of Sunlighten's sauna cabin lineup, but it offers best-in-class far infrared radiation. So it's not full spectrum, but it has high emissivity heaters that again emit 95 to 99% of those infrared rays. So you get a lot of that energy into your tissue. You don't get any of the skin health benefits or cosmetic benefits from full spectrum infrared, but you get all the muscle recovery, the increased blood flow, the cardiovascular stress, the immune boosting capabilities. So all of the things that you typically associate with sauna bathing, you get from the Sunlighten signature. It has a programmable timer, so you can set when you want to turn it on and off. It's also very low in EMFs and no VOCs, and it's available in different sizes and wood finishes, so you can get one for indoor, for outdoors, etc. Some of the cons, are yes, there are limited upgrades and add-ons, but it also comes with chromotherapy, which is something that many people appreciate to get some additional light therapy capabilities. But beyond that, it's a great sauna at a fairly reasonable price. So it's the least expensive sauna cabin that Sunlighten has to offer, but it's solid. It's all the same materials, the same quality heaters as the more expensive models. And you really liked it. If you say, you know what, but I still would like to get some near infrared or red light, just invest in a high quality red light therapy panel and maybe use this, maybe one day sauna, the other day red light therapy panel, and you would still spend less overall than buying a full spectrum infrared sauna in most cases. Now, if you say, well, what is the least expensive option as far as infrared saunas is concerned? And I think that's a sauna blanket, and the one we have at our home is the one from Sunhome Saunas. It's a far infrared blanket. One thing that's important to understand is sauna blankets work differently to regular saunas in the sense of that they use conduction to transfer heat into your tissue versus radiation. So with a regular sauna, you have those panels and they emit infrared rays that travel over through the air into your tissue. With a sauna blanket, there are heating wires that are far infrared, but they use conduction. So you have to be in contact with the blanket to get most of that heat transfer. So there are limitations in their benefits, but they still offer the heat stress that you want from a sauna. It gets incredibly hot. In fact, I did the same test as I did with the Therasage. I used our kitchen thermometer and checked out how hot the inside of that sauna blanket would get, and it heated up to 165 degrees Fahrenheit. That's approximately 74 degrees Celsius. Incredibly hot. If you stay in a sauna blanket for half an hour, you sweat like a pig. Your heart rate goes up, your pores open, you're under heat stress, you release heat shock proteins, which is an immune boosting side effect, positive side effect of heat exposure or sauna bathing. You get a lot of the benefits of heat exposure in general. You just can't expect, like skin benefits. Obviously, there's no improved collagen production in your skin. Probably your mitochondria is not gonna, start working more optimally, etc., because there is no radiation. The rays don't, penetrate your tissue. It's just the heat, much like a very hot heating blanket. But for that, it does it very well, and it's fairly inexpensive in comparison. I think the sauna blanket retails for maybe $4.99 or so significantly less money than you would spend for any other type of sauna. And again, if you want some of the benefits from red and infrared light, especially in the near infrared spectrum, just add a red light panel to it and you spend still significantly less than on anything else. And so that's a great option if money is a concern, if you're on a budget, or if you have just no space for any type of sauna. A sauna blanket is probably your best bet, and it delivers a lot of the benefits that you can expect from heat exposure. Now, if money is not a concern whatsoever, what can you do in terms of luxury upgrade? And the best I could come up with, I was looking for saunas that would even be better and maybe more expensive than, a Sunlighten mPulse, but I couldn't really find anything that would be worth spending extra money because there was no additional benefits. So the one thing that I discovered was Sunlighten, and that maybe apply also to some of the other brands on the market. They offer custom saunas. So you can actually talk to Sunlighten and they design a sauna for you based on your available space, based on your vision and features you want to have. You get a CAD drawing so you can, see how it would look like, and they would then build it based on those specifications. I mean, that's really the ultimate luxury upgrade. Unfortunately, I don't have the money for that, or the space for that matter. But if money was not an object, and if I had the space, maybe, when we moved to our new homestead and we built a house from scratch, maybe, there would be an opportunity, theoretically at least on paper, to have a custom built sauna that, is commercial grade built, that might even be, ADA compliance. If you have a disability and cannot get into a regular sauna, they can offer that as well. But the point is, it's designed based on your vision and goals, and that would be, the ultimate dream sauna for me. And of course, that would come at a price that I probably can't afford. And I don't know what the pricing for that is. So that's something you'd have to talk to Sunlighten about. But it's an option. Again, if money is not an issue, that's something I would definitely consider. Before we wrap this video up, let's talk about the best sauna available on Amazon, or maybe some of in the other outlets, like a Costco or I don't know, Sam's Club or whatever. So I looked at Amazon and I really wanted to include a specific sauna recommendation that you can find on Amazon. But the truth is, all of the saunas I found there are imports from China, usually without any brand name behind. Unknown customer support. Most of the brands, they're just white label a sauna. So it's someone builds it in China. They just slap their logo on it, give it a English name at the end of the day, and then sell it for less money that you would pay for a high quality sauna. But the heaters are low emissivity. There are probably, a lot of issues with VOCs and EMFs. If something breaks, you're probably not going to get the support you want. And so I would discourage you, or at least being very careful about purchasing a sauna online on Amazon if you don't know what the brand is. Again, I looked at several brands and they were all like, white label kind of thing, where, one of the brands, they sells anything from baby toys to surfboards and infrared sauna. So there's clearly no dedicated infrared expertise in that company. And I would be careful, spending, $2,000 on a sauna, even if it looks like a deal in comparison to a high quality sauna, but that's delivered and built domestically. I wouldn't do it. And few months ago, a friend actually asked me, he wanted to buy a sauna on Costco. I have nothing against Costco. We use it all the time. We buy stuff from Costco all the time. I love the brand. I love the company. Well, I love the company. I don't know about the brand. But the sauna that he pointed out that he wanted to ask, I told him, ask for emissivity test reports, ask for this and that. And then he got the reports again. It was like, Chinese documents translated. You could clearly tell it was, Chinese origin and very low emissivity. So again, maybe there are, inexpensive saunas with very high emissivity. I haven't seen them. So I would be careful. If you really want to get the most out of your sauna experience, I would get a, one with fewer bells and whistles, but with high quality heaters, than getting one that's maybe larger and has all the bells and whistles, but then, low emissivity heaters that don't deliver all the health benefits that you're after. So be careful. That's my recommendation. Now, of course, Sunlighten and Therasage and Sunhome saunas are the only players on the market. There are other ones that are good. I know that Sunhome saunas, for example, I only covered their sauna blanket in this video, but they have full spectrum walk-in sauna cabins that are apparently of good quality. I just have never tested them, so I don't want to give recommendations for products that I don't have hands-on experience with. But I'm sure there are other brands. There is, I think, Clearlight or Clearsight or whatever that offers high-quality saunas based on what I've heard. Sunhome saunas. There are probably other brands out there that offer good options, but the ones I covered in this video are the ones that I've either tested, that I own, or that I have hands-on experience with. And so with that, we're gonna wrap it up. I hope you liked this video. If you didn't like it, let me know what I could have done better. Until next time.